The next season will be my 20th year on national television, but not in all of that time have I presented anything of the gravity of the next 4 weeks. Unfortunately, this is not hype. If it were, you would be the same after you see these programs on AIDS. You won't be. We'll start out with the first AIDS whistleblower and the allegation that the AIDS virus is man-made. Next, what causes AIDS? One of the world's top virologists says, contrary to what we're being told, that the AIDS virus does not cause AIDS. The third and fourth weeks will tackle the questions. Has the medical establishment failed us? And is AIDS a biological experiment? A summary of conspiracy theories. One of the unique things about this series is that the discussions will not be limited to the official government point of view. Legitimate questions will be raised that will demand straight answers, such as, is AIDS a contagious form of cancer? Is it a biological warfare experiment gone bad? Have the laboratory scientists tried to play God and discovered the devil? If AIDS began in Africa, why did it spread first to America rather than Europe, where we have far closer links? And why are AIDS victims dying of sheep diseases and bird diseases and cattle diseases, which we'd never heard of before? The questions alone are enough to make a halfway cynic raise an eyebrow, but increasingly they're being asked by members of the research scientific medical establishment itself. Men like Dr. Peter Duesberg, one of the world's leading retrovirologists, co-discoverer of oncogenes, professor of molecular biology at the University of California, Berkeley, and a member of the prestigious National Academy of Sciences. This has resulted, believe it or not, in the first meaningful two-way dialogue within the medical scientific community on the causes and dangers of this new and strange disease. Even the American media has been in lockstep with the opinions of designated sources, in one case to the detriment of the public's right to know. For example, on May the 11th, 1987, the London Times said in a front-page headline, smallpox vaccine triggered AIDS virus. The story suggested that the World Health Organization's smallpox eradication vaccine program was responsible for unleashing AIDS in Africa. Almost 100 million Africans were inoculated and possibly contaminated. But all of the American news organizations ignored the reporting of perhaps the most important story of our time in one of the world's most credible news sources. You don't have to have a suspicious nature to ask why. Therefore, it has become increasingly more difficult to dismiss the Professor Duesbergs and the Dr. John Seals of the Royal Medical Society in London, and to hush up public debate, something many scientists feel unnecessary in the first place. It would be indeed unfortunate for all of us if we relegated all scientific dissent to the preserve of loonies and conspiracy theorists hoping to air their paranoid delusions in public. Freedom of speech is a risk that comes with a democracy. And the stakes in this democracy are sky high. By 1991, 80% of the AIDS cases in America will be showing up not in the big cities like New York or LA, but in middle-sized towns. For example, a PBS show pointed out that within 5 years, everyone in Fort Wayne, Indiana, will know someone with AIDS. Some are even predicting that if a new direction is not taken in the research and management of this pandemic, there will be no human life around to debate its existence. For the crisis facing us, we need all of our resources pulling together. The purpose here is to dispel some of the growing fears and suspicions by creating an honest and open two-way dialogue, and not to automatically accept the pronouncements of official sources as articles of faith. As one writer said, when science cannot be questioned, it is not science anymore, it is religion. I'm Tony Brown. In a moment, we'll begin our 4-part series called The AIDS Whistleblowers, with the first AIDS whistleblower.